QuickFixGolf.com. That's where you can find us. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night at 8 o'clock, we've got an online golf class, and we have a good time. So check us out at QuickFixGolf.com. If you'd like to have a lesson live on the internet, meaning you'll get out your cell phone, video your swing, load it up on our site. We'll set up a certain time that's good for you, and we'll be able to do the analysis and do the lesson live, where you can comment, ask questions, and truly understand exactly what we're trying to get across to you, rather than just having an analysis sent to you that you might not understand. QuickFixGolf.com, that's the place to go. And right here, what we got is, and almost forgot, my partner, Darren DeMailey.
Yep, I'm here. Don't forget about me. I'm not second fiddle here.
You got that right. That's what I thought you could drive the bus.
But, you know, there's a lot of benefits to doing your lessons online. And especially like you're saving costs with range balls, you're saving costs on how driving the golf course. Your friends won't even know that you're taking lessons online. So there's lots of benefits, and I think it's the future for golf instruction.
It's certainly less expensive than having to go, you can actually get a higher quality technology and lesson for less money.
Yep.
Because like when you were up there at the Hamptons, everything, how much was a lesson? About a couple $100?
It was 175.
175. Well, there you go. What do you say, $25? Anyway, here's Tiger Woods, and I'll tell you what I like about his putting stroke. You see this? Well, forgot. Tell us what the topic is on it. It's putting. What is it about putting?
We're talking about some factors when it comes to putting, and there's lots of different things that go into putting. So we're going to talk about some of the different factors that go into eliminating three putts. That's the goal. Eliminate three putts.
Yes. 2-putt conversions. You want me to just tell you what I like about a Tiger here, or you want to take?
Yeah, let's see it. Let's hear what you got to say.
You see his triangle here? Well, let me use a different color because he's got a red shirt on. It must be Sunday. Boom. 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 Watch this. See how he has all those angles together? His hands haven't moved at all. And then as he strokes it through, look at that. There's no flip in the hands. Nothing. Quiet hands. Quiet hands means quiet club face. Quiet club face means that the ball goes where you're pointed at. And I like the way he just swivels right there. He stays quiet and just swivels back and forth. But there's a little bit of movement there. I think that's the person holding the camera. And notice his backswing and his follow-through are almost the same size. So, and the other thing I like about it is it's traditional. I'm fed up with these big, long putters and all this other stuff. I think it should be outlawed. And putters pressed up against your left forearm, I think that should be outlawed too. That's just me. I wouldn't throw him in jail for 7 days just for putting, but.
Yeah.
But that's my opinion. But go ahead, you go for it because this is your topic. Go
right ahead. Yep, send me the.
I'm gonna pop it right over to you.
And well, just a little bit about my background when it comes to putting and the factors when it comes to, for years I thought I was a pretty decent putter. And can you see my screen now? I'm pulling up my V1.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, good. So for years I thought I was a decent putter, and I really thought I knew how to teach putting. And until I ran into a friend of mine, a colleague, John Hobbins, I realized I was completely wrong, because when it comes to putting, there doesn't have to be a ton of guesswork, and there doesn't have to be a ton of experience that needs to go into it. And yeah, for the longest time, I was way off. Now that doesn't mean that I need to give refunds to a lot of people that I've given putting lessons to. It just means that at that point in time, that was the information that I had that I thought was the best. And you know what? 5 years from now, that might change as well. But right now, I think I got the best information out there on what goes into putting when it comes to reading greens, to controlling the amount of energy in there, and to controlling where the ball starts, controlling the face angle there. And there's some technology out there, specifically the blast technology, which I like to work a lot with, that will measure what you're doing with the putter, how fast you're swinging it, loft changes, and specifically the timing of it all. And those metrics are really important when it comes to energy control. So here's one person. This is Brent Snedeker, who I think has got one of the best putting strokes out there. And you know, Bobby, you were just mentioning about Tiger Woods having a stroke that goes back and through similar distances. And you know, I don't know if I'd agree with that. I would say Tiger's forward stroke is less than his backswing. So if we just, oh, you can't see that?
No.
Okay. So if you watch Snedeker's backswing here, all right, here's backswing. Putter goes to here.
Right.
Forward stroke. Putter goes to here.
Doesn't go as far.
Doesn't go nearly as far, right? And here's where the ball was. So it doesn't go nearly as far. And a couple reasons being, one, there's collision with the golf ball. So collision with the ball is going to slow the putter down. And secondly, the putter starts to swing up in the follow-through. And when the putter swings up in the follow-through, guess what's pulling it down? Gravity. So because of those two influences, the forward stroke shouldn't nearly be as long as the backswing. And Snedeker, it's a perfect example of it. And, you know, if you look through, I think I got one here of Gary Player. Hold on, now that I'm thinking about it. Yes, watch this. This is a great one here, Gary Player, right? Once again, illustrating my thought on energy control. Watch this. Let me draw a little circle around the ball. There's your backswing. And look at the forward swing, right? Hardly any forward stroke there at all. And to me, that's really how you're going to control energy properly. I just see the opposite way too often, a short backswing and a really long follow through. And that's when I realize that you have energy control problems. That's when I'm going to double the bet. So energy control is going to be one of the factors that go into putting. And to me, it's the length of backswing, however far you want to go. The backswing will get bigger, and then the follow through is always going to be a little bit smaller than the follow through. It's going to be a little different for everyone, but in general, I don't buy into the whole idea of pendulum, because that's not what happens. It doesn't go back. It doesn't go through the same amount. It doesn't go back the same speed that it comes into the golf ball. It's actually an accelerated motion of 2 to 1. So if you're going back 1 second into the ball, it takes half a second. And this is all measured information. It's not guesses anymore, like years and years and years ago. There was nothing to measure what was going on with the putter. This is what we know is going on. And that whole concept of pendulum is, it's a great thought for a lot of people to kind of get some good tempo in there, but it's not reality of what happens. So some of these things that, you know, fact or fiction when it comes to putting, you've got to have the right intent in there. What really does go on? And that's the first thing that, you know, I think we need to think about it. Controlling energy. It's a big part of eliminating three putts. And I love the way that Snedeker hits a putt. I really do. A couple other thoughts here. Let's see. Where's my square to square? There we go. So we'll go back to kind of Tiger Woods's putting stroke. So the couple different ways to swing a putter. One would be, here's where I'm illustrating square to square. which means that the putter goes back and through on the same line. Okay, this is definitely one way to do it. And I think the best way to do it, because that putter face doesn't have any rotation to it. There's the putter face there. There's the putter face here. There's your putter face into the golf ball, or past the golf ball. It's square, 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 straight back and straight through on the same line. To me, that makes the most sense. The other way to swing a putter would be on more of an arcing motion. And an arcing motion would be more of the putter swinging to the inside and then swinging to the inside on the other side. And as you're doing this, the putter face will now start to have some rotation in relationship to your target line. Now, in relationship to the arc, right, the arc that the putter's swinging on, it's not necessarily going to have any rotation to it, but in relationship to the target line, it will. And I think that that's really important, especially on short putts, that you don't let that face open and close. So what does Tiger Woods do? Well, he does a combination of the two. Okay, he swings the putter straight back and straight through, but he also has some rotation to the face. And you know, if you listen to Tiger talk anything about putting, he's always talking about releasing the putter. He's always hitting putts with his right hand, trying to feel like the face of the putter closes through the hit. And it's a very different way to putt, where you're putting straight back and straight through and having the face open and close. It's and I'm not really kind of sure how that evolved for him, but it's very rare to see someone swinging the putter straight back and straight through with some rotation of the face. It's either straight back and straight through with square faces or some arc to it, having some rotation of the face in relationship to the target line. So there's definitely different ways to do it, but you have to have some range of what's acceptable in there. But I think your best chance is straight back, straight through with that putter face, looking at the whole entire time, or looking at wherever your target is the entire time. Hopefully, were you hearing me through all that? Yes?
I heard
Were
you.
you taking a nap?
I heard
Were you
you.
napping? You hear me?
Heard you loud and
No
clear.
comments? Any thoughts?
What about the grip with square to square?
So the grip has a huge influence on square to square. And to me, the putter grip needs to sit in the palm of your hands. Let me pull up what I call the center balance line, or I should say I call it the center balance. I got the center balance line from Blast Golf. And here's what center balance line is. It's getting the putter to go right up your forearms here. So you can see with, oh gosh, I can hear Charlie Hoffman here. You can see that the putter is in line with his arms. Okay, so the only way that you can accomplish that is to sit the putter in the palm of your left hand, or in his case, his left hand, his right-hand golfer, in the palm. Now, when we grip a golf club for a full swing, we're putting it more in the fingers, right? So let's take a look at, I don't know, here's Ben Crenshaw. So look at now the relationship between the shaft, right, and his arms. It's completely different than when you're putting. Fingers here on the right, palm here on the left. So the more you can get it in the palm, the easier it is to control the rotation of the face. One more thought on that, the more vertical you can get the shaft of the golf club, the easier it is to swing it straight back and straight through. So that grip is a big part of being able to control what the putter's doing. So a putting grip and a full swing grip to me are completely different. One's in the palm, one's in the fingers.
Good point. Good.
Does that make sense?
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Hey,
We can
this is
talk a little bit more
dynamic
about.
lesson here.
we can talk a little bit more about the center balance line here. We can see with Charlie Hoffman here, there's a line that goes up through the balls of his feet, through the tip of his knees, through the butt end of the golf club. So here's the end of the golf club, through his elbows, and through the top of his spine. And this is, like I said, John Hobbins is a mentor of mine, what he'd call the linebacker posture, which gives you the optimum posture to swing a putter straight back and straight through. A lot different than what you'd see here with Ben Crenshaw. You know, with putting, you're trying to do something different than when you're trying to hit a full swing with an iron or a driver or whatever it is. When we're putting, it's all about finesse. It's about controlling the starting line. It's controlling the energy. So you're going to do some things a little bit differently because you don't have to make a big swing. You can keep the putter on that target line a lot longer because we're not swinging it as far.
Can you get too vertical?
I don't think so, no. Now, the rules of golf say that we can only get the putter to a certain degree, and if I remember right, I want to say it's at 85 degrees. Oh, shoot, I hate to give an answer that I'm not positive with. Meaning that a putter's design, let's see here with Charlie Hoffman, if we draw a line here straight up from the ground, he's at 70 degrees of lie angle. So the rules of golf tell us, I want to say it's maybe 85. I can't believe I don't know the answer to this. Somewhere in here, maybe it's 80. But you can have a putter at, let's say, 80 degrees of lie angle, and then you can lift it a little taller like a Steve Stricker would, where he actually gets the heel of the putter off the ground. So I don't think, at least in my thought process, you can't get it vertical enough. I try to get it as close to the 90 as you can, so it's easier to swing it straight back and straight through without any rotation to it. I don't know if I have Stricker here. I might have Stricker here with a putter. No, I don't. But no, I don't think you can get as vertical as you need to. No, I don't. But the rules of golf, like I said, they limit you on the vertical. Do you know that answer, Bobby? What's the number for a putter shaft?
No, I didn't know there was a restriction.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, oh yeah. Yep.
What about that new putter, the standalone? Isn't that 90 degrees? That's crazy. that can't be legal.
I don't know the answer to that, but
Find out right now. You keep talking, I'll find out.
that standalone is kind of a unique thing. I'm gonna keep it clean since we're on the air here, but it's just a gimmick, you know. To me, if you're trying to get your alignment correct, the golf ball is going to do everything that you need to know. So I had a lesson today with some students, and we were using a Titleist golf ball, and here's what is on the golf ball. You got the word Titleist, right? Here's your ball. Oops. So there's your ball, and then Titleist obviously has a number here. There's your number 1. So you can set your golf ball up on the green where the number 1 is pointing to where you're trying to go.
I never thought.
And now the word Titleist, right? You put your putter right behind it. You sole your putter. You're squaring it up to the word Titleist. So now you've got kind of this perpendicular line going here. 1 for the number where you're trying to go, and then 1 for the putter face. And that to me is a lot more effective than this kind of standalone putter where you put the putter behind it so you can kind of see where it's aiming. But, you know, I've been aiming my golf ball when it comes to putting and off the tee the same way since high school, which is a long time ago, the same exact way with the word Titleist and then the number pointing where I want to go, because the face angle here is the most important thing. Getting that face angle pointing the right way to start is always going to be the king of the relationship. And by using the word Titleist or whatever ball you're using, Bridgestone or TaylorMade or whatever it is, Callaway's not quite. Callaway's a little more rounded. Callaway's got their wording that goes this way. So it's a little more difficult with a Callaway ball. But you know, when you're lining up a ball, that's what I think is your best way to do it. Use the logo and use the number. But I see a lot of players, you know, with just that, you know, they're using a line on their golf ball pointing just this way, which helps, but it's not as good as having another reference line for where the putter face needs to be.
All right, here's your answer. A 90-degree lie angle would have the club head parallel to the ground with the shaft pointing straight up, a setup that is against the rules of golf. Still, your
Right.
putter will be the most upright club in your bag, and most putters shipped from the factory have a lie angle of around 70 degrees.
Yep.
So it doesn't say.
By the way, my friend who bought is a terrible putter.
Yeah, double the bet next time.
What about your eyes? Your eyes, should they be right over the golf ball then?
Oh, that's a
Because
great
you see some people bending way, way over.
Oh, that's such a great question.
What's it? Michelle Wee's nonsense.
Exactly. That's a great question. So your eyes, let's take a look at Charlie Hoffman here. We'll just draw a line straight up from the golf ball. His eyes are directly over it. And that might be true for him, but it's not true for everyone. There's a test that I like to do where what I do is I take, hold on one second here. I take a bunch of golf balls and I line them up in a row just like this. And then I take a string and I put a string right over the middle of all these golf balls. And what I do is I set up to this golf ball here and I look down the string. And when the string is all in the middle of these golf balls, that's where I know my eyes are in the right spot. Now, that doesn't mean that my eyes are right over this, the center of the ball. My eyes might be on the inside. My eyes might be on the outside. But everybody is going to have a different visual of where straight is. So the whole concept of keeping your eyes over the golf ball, it's a good guideline, but it is not what everyone should be doing. So for me, my eyes are considerably on the outside of the golf ball, and I've seen a bunch of people considerably on the inside. And you have to know that in order to see straight, in order to aim your putter properly. So this little trick here where you line up all your golf balls and you take a string, you have a pencil on one end, a pencil on the other, so the string is hovering over the top of the golf balls, and then you'll be able to see what works best for you. Are your eyes over the ball, are your eyes on the inside, or your eyes on the outside of the golf ball? What works best for you? But that's a great question because
Okay, we'll try it.
I can't tell you how many magazine articles I've read. It's just absolute nonsense and absolute rubbish to think that everybody has to put their eyes over the golf ball, because it is not true at all. Not true at all.
Darren, everybody has a dominant eye. Wouldn't it be better to close one when it's dominant or not dominant?
Yeah, so that's another important thing on kind of the tilt of where your eyes are, and how you're actually seeing the line and how you're seeing the putt. So and once again, I think everybody's going to be a little bit different in there on where their eyes are, whether their eyes are a little bit left, whether their eyes are a little bit more this way, or whether their eyes are a little bit more that way. Everybody's going to kind of see the line a little bit differently. Not everybody's going to have their eyes perfectly parallel to the target line. And that's one of the things Jordan Spieth struggled with, the last couple of years, where his putting was just awful. And he started to realize that his eyes started to shift a little open to the target line. But I think everybody's going to be a little bit different there. But your dominant eye, I think it does have a role in there. But everybody's going to be different.
So with the straight back and straight through, would you recommend a face balanced putter? And what is your opinion of the mallet versus the blade type putters?
Yeah, so 100% face balanced is the way to go if you're going straight back and straight through. And let me see if I have a face balanced putter is where the face points straight up. We did this. We have one on YouTube. If you want to look at our YouTube channel, we talk a little bit about face balance and kind of toe hang in there. But face balance 100% is going to give you your best chance to get that putter going straight back and straight through without any rotation of the face. So definitely face balance, and that's going to be more of a mallet type of putter.
Now, another thing right here on this, as I'm looking this up, is the long putter. The lie angle is 80 degrees, because I was thinking, I said, these long putters, I've seen both Bernhard and, what the heck's his name? Anyway.
McCarron?
Who?
McCarron?
Yeah, right, McCarron, exactly. And those putters are very vertical, very vertical. So they're 80 degrees. So I don't know if that's also another advantage that shouldn't be allowable.
So when it comes to what like McCarron and Bernhard are doing, they've got the putter. They used to have it anchored to their sternum here. Now they're just kind of hovering it against above their sternum because the rules of golf say you can't do it. But when you're anchoring or you're semi-anchoring, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, it's promoting an arc in the swing. So that putter is going to move. If here's our target line, the putter on the way back is going to move slightly to the inside and then back to the golf ball and then move slightly to the inside there. So to me, that's not the optimal way to do it. However, if you are like Bernhard and McCarron, there are some ranges of what's acceptable. So for every 2 inches that the putter moves, the face angle will deviate 1 degree from your target line. Let me see if I can clean this up a little bit for you here. So here's your target line. Here's square to start. So if you move the putter back 2 inches, all right, let's say that's 2 inches, you've deviated 1 degree. So now we're at 4 inches, now we're at 2 degrees, and so on and so on. And the same thing goes on the opposite end of it. As you arc, there's got to be an acceptable amount of how much rotation there is. And that's what all the measurements and technology is proven to us nowadays. For every 2 inches, it's 1 degree. And I'm sure Bernhard and McCarron are following along the lines of that. And I hope that makes a little sense there. When you do arc, and there's lots of great arcing putters out there, there are still some ranges or variances that they uphold. Any
Darren,
other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Darren, years ago they used to talk about overspin on putters. Have they abandoned that?
No, I'm a really big proponent of that, even though there's a lot of thought out there. Otherwise, let's take a look here. We'll talk a little bit about some overspin. Clean this up. All right, so this is Ricky Fowler. And watch what happens when he hits this putt here. Watch what happens to the ball. So that ball is being pushed. It's not rolling end over end, and I call that true roll. When the putter starts the ball end over end, it's true roll. But right now he's just pushing it. It's skid, and then at some point here, the ball will start to roll. So it starts to roll right about here. I'd say that's maybe 6 inches of skid there. Now watch where the putter hits the ball, and this is why the putter is going to skid, because the putter is hitting, oh gosh, hold on. Right, there you go. So right now the putter is hitting the middle of the ball, which is the push or the skid, right? That's getting it to go that way. So there's a couple of different things that will get this ball to go end over end. One would be leaning the shaft more forward, which would mean de-lofting the golf club. So if the putter came in with, let's say, -3, 4, 5 degrees of loft, negative, the top edge of the putter will hit above the middle of the golf ball what's going to happen? Now the ball is going to start to roll end over end, true roll. The other way to do that would be to have the putter on an upward motion where the bottom of the putter hits above the middle of the ball, and that will also get the ball moving end over end, or that true roll. So those are really the two only ways you're going to get this ball to roll end over end, and I truly believe that that's how you've got to get a ball rolling. This whole concept of loft on a putter and the ball sitting in a depression, which a lot of important people will tell you happens, it's just not, in my experience, something that I believe in. I believe you got to get that ball moving end over end, and the optimal way to do it is, in my book, -3 degrees of loft and then 3 degrees of putter rise. And I know that's getting a little bit scientific there, but we want to get this ball to roll end over end. Let's see what we got here. So here's Jordan Spieth. So he starts to get that ball rolling end over end. You see how that ball's starting to roll immediately? Where the logo starts to rotate. I mean, there's maybe an inch worth of skid there, but for the most part, that ball's rolling end over end a lot more than. See where he's hitting the golf ball here? Everyone see this? It's above the equator. And here's, in my opinion, why. Right? Watch what he does before he hits it. Watch his hands. Watch what happens here. The shaft is backwards here. And watch what happens right before he hits it. See that? He moves his hands forward. And when he does that, he takes loft off the putter. There it is, right there. So that's what's going to go on there with kind of rolling the golf ball, and I think it's an important thing. I really do, especially on a shorter putt. You don't want this ball skidding. You want this ball rolling, and it's going to help with your energy control quite a bit. Let's see what else I got in here. Here's another example of Tiger.
What kind of loft do most putters come with?
Most putters come with 4 degrees of loft, I'd say, is probably the average. But I think a little bit is your technique. Bubba Watson a couple years ago had Ping make him a putter with 7 degrees of loft because Bubba had so much forward press at address that when he had 7 degrees of loft, it actually brought him back down to 1 or 2 degrees of loft. So everybody's going to be a little bit different in there, but my thought at the end of the day is that putter has to have -3 degrees of loft when you hit the golf ball with 3 degrees of putter rise to get that ball rolling the right way.
Okay.
Any advantage to counterweight?
I'm not a big proponent of that because counterweights, it starts to get into more arcing and face rotation there. So I'm not a big proponent of that. Let's see here. Here's where the ball is. And that's the length of his backswing. So I think in this one here, it's tough to tell. It's pretty close to even, but it's in my book it's not even and even. It's got to be a little bit shorter as you go through compared to going back. Let's see what else I got here. I got Rory. This is a good one here. And this is a long time ago. Wow. This is with Quintic. Let's see where that shaft is at the hit.
Is he going upswing on this?
He's upswinging up, but look at where the shaft is at the hit.
Oh,
He's got a nice little forward lean of the shaft. There you go. You're not going to see any good putters with the shaft leaning backwards. You really won't. There's a good one here. The putter moving upward. You can see the putter going from a low point. Watch this. To a high point. So that's a nice amount of rise there. That's really good. I like that amount of rise.
The length of the
There you
putter
go.
promote that?
Oh, shit.
No, ball position and body position will promote that.
Okay.
So you want to feel like the ball's more forward. Let's go back to how about where Rory was here. Where's Rory? So the putter will bottom out kind of towards the middle of your body, and then it'll start to move up more towards the front shoulder here. So where you position the ball has a big influence on where in the arc the ball will be struck. So I like seeing the golf ball left of center as opposed to centered. Some players will lean one way or another, whether they lean up onto their front foot and lean to the back foot. That also has an effect to it, but I like seeing the ball left of center so you can make sure you're catching it on the way up there.
What about soling the putter at address, or should you keep it slightly off the ground?
So Nicklaus always had his putter off of the ground, and the reason being is because he didn't want his ball, if it did move, he didn't want to incur a penalty. So if you've got your putter behind the ball and you sole it and then your ball moves, it's a penalty. We saw that with Dustin Johnson at Oakmont a couple years ago in the U.S. Open. He had his putter behind the ball, and those greens were just so burnt out that the ball would move just the slightest bit, and his putter was sold, and he incurred a penalty because of it. So Nicklaus did it because of a penalty-wise. Now, if you look at, let's pull up Ricky Fowler here. Oh, okay, I don't have it. One of the things Fowler does is he lifts it up before he hits it. Now, I wouldn't say that's, I'd say that's more style than something that would be more of a law or some type of, it's just more style, I think, than anything. But Jack did it because he didn't want to incur a penalty, and that's what his whole career was about. It's all about percentages. And, in the long run, if you never incur a penalty because you've sold your putter behind the ball, it's always going to be a benefit. So that's why he did it. I think it's a little bit more style than anything.
Didn't he lift all of his clubs a little bit?
He did. He hovered them all. Yep. This is like, I think, is Bobby have some type of, is he still with us?
Right.
I can't believe how quiet he is. This is like, this is great. We should have more webinars like this.
He's changing the name of his school. That's what he's working on.
I could give you the
He's watching Wheel of Fortune right now. He's watching Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you showed him tonight what a dynamic lesson is. That's good.
Oh.
No, you see, I look at it from a different perspective, and this is excellent, and it's great information. But if I had to put that much information in my head and putt, I couldn't keep it on the green.
So true. So true. And there's lots of different ways to putt. There really are. And once again, the way that I teach golf is surrounded by the highest percentages. It doesn't mean it's the right way. People do it so many different ways. But it's, to me, the highest percentage that you're going to get the ball into the hole with the least amount of strokes. And it's putting has been a lot different over the years. Back when Bobby was playing on the tour, the agronomy was completely different. The grasses were completely different. Nowadays, you get this championship, you get this all these different grasses out there. There's hardly any grain in them, and because of that, and how fast the greens are nowadays, you're gonna do different things. You needed a lot of hinge and wrist motion back in the day to hit the ball because the greens were slower.
Yeah,
so things have evolved a little bit.
In today's world now you don't have to, you can get grass at a store.
Yep.
You don't have to try and get it from the caddies.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Now, finally, he's back rambling off the
You
joke.
need to go by a store, pick it up before you went to the course. Unbelievable. No, the thing is, if you're disciplined enough to focus in and zero in on 2 or 3 of these things that you maybe even know 1 or 2 of these things that you talked about, especially with the downline guy you had there. What was his name?
Charlie Hoffman.
Charlie Hoffman. And say, okay, I'm going to focus on this or that. And you practice it and you practice it and you practice it. You spend the time on the green, and then when you go to putt, forget it. It's drill, 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 and forget it. Drill, 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 and forget it. Drill, 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 and forget it. Because you can't go think, you got to be. I look at a shot. I don't want to roll the ball until I think I see the ball going in the hole. It's just a mental thing.
Yeah. Well, we did a special report about Jack Nicklaus and some of Jack's secrets. The times that I was around him, he never practices his putting. To him, it was all feel. To him, it was all like you just said there, Bobby. In his mind, he's never missed a putt, right? Before he's hit it, he's made it in his mind.
Exactly.
Now, it might not go in once he hits it, but in his mind, he's never, ever missed one putt. So, and that's why he was such a great clutch putter, because he'd already made the putt in his mind. He was just making it again once he went to go hit it. So,
every shot
confidence
that way. Every tee shot, every iron shot, everything you do should be an instant replay of what you were thinking.
Yep.
And yet you do have to have the techniques you mentioned, because if you have horrible technique, you can think all you want and you can believe all you want, but it's just not going to happen because you don't know what the heck you're doing. So that's why you got to focus in on a couple of things you're doing and practice those hard, but don't carry them over to the golf course.
Yep, it's feel on the golf course. You're absolutely right. It's drill, 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 drill. And then on the golf course, it's a feel, and you got to shut the thinking off. You can't think out there.
Yeah, like for instance, I like that video. It's on YouTube with Brad Faxon and Crenshaw, who 2 of the best putters on tour in their time.
Yep.
And Crenshaw said he wasn't putting well because he wasn't moving.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
What are you saying? We're always
exactly
not to move. And he says, I putt better when I move.
Right. Aren't you supposed to stay still? Right. Exactly.
And you look at Billy Casper. He had the most horrible looking putting stroke you ever want to see, and the guy made everything he looked at.
Yep.
Bobby Locke was the great putter of the old times. He had a horrible, real close stance, sort of like Gary Player might have copied some of that, because you see how close his stance is. But he sort of slapped it with his right hand, slapped right across it. And yet he was noted as one of the best putters that's ever lived. You can't live by just the technique, but you also can't just live by dreaming that you can make it if you don't have any technique. So you need both.
Yep. And we can close with this here. And I would suggest everyone who's tuned in tonight, and anybody who's watching or listening on a replay on YouTube, to check out who Horton Smith was. Horton Smith won the very first Masters, and a lot of people considered him like the father of putting. And if you just kind of go to and Google Horton Smith, there's a lot of great information in here about putting, and specifically wrist positions and what he called the hooding secret. So without going into it tonight, I would suggest everyone just kind of go check this out, Horton Smith, and see a little bit about what his ideas were, because a lot of his ideas are some of the things that I think are so important nowadays when it comes to hitting putts. So Horton Smith, great read online there.
That is a good one. There's also, see if you can pull up Bobby Locke. It might be
and by another great one, exactly.
Just to get back to slightly longer backswing and then forward swing, we were taught by one guy 60-40, but it's really 50-50. But when your putter when the ball gets in the way of the putter, it slows down a touch, which is exactly what you said. So I would go out and put a tee behind my right foot, and then I'd put the other tee slightly in front of my left foot, but 60-40, 60 back, 40 through, and it worked. It's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys like Dave Pelz out there, and Dave Pelz is a very smart guy. And he was was a rocket scientist. He'll tell you the opposite. He'll say short backswing, long follow through. So there's lots of thoughts out there. To me, like I said, I think at least the information that I have right now, and I think I've got some pretty good information that's kind of the right way to go. That's what all the best putters are doing.
Yeah, but
Bobby Rocky's another great one here.
Let me interject something. Yes, Dave Peltz has made a lot of money selling his book, The Bible Short Game, this, that, and the other, but Dave Peltz has never made a putt under pressure in his life.
You got that right. No, he hasn't.
He's never had a wife and a kid sitting back in the hotel room wondering whether we're going to have a room that night or not. Because if you didn't make the cut, you're going to have to run to the next town, and you got a 12-footer downhill that bleeds off to the right. He's never felt that before. He's never had to deal with that before. He deals in strictly data and the angles, and he's an engineer, as you said. But yet, because I've talked to other twin pros that know him well too, and they didn't like him. He's famous. It's a lot of his books and everything, and he had people going to his putting school for like $3,500 they would pay. Holy cow! For that, I'd give him a Cuban sandwich free.
You give him a robo too.
And a bottle of Cuban rum. I would swim back over to Cuba just to get the rum in the sandwich and bring it back so it's authentic. $3,500 to listen to that old fart trying to tell you about short game he's never played.
That's a lot of cigars.
Cigars.
Uh-huh.
I gotta tell Bobby something real quick. Bobby, my grandfather came from Russia in 1905, and somehow he got in the cigar business. And when he sold his company, he ended up going to Cuba all the time to buy his tobacco for the company he worked for. One of the big public companies.
Really?
So we got some Cuban connection.
So where is he now? Where's the cigars?
Well, I have it was called Punch Lilies. And it was a good 10-cent cigar in the early 20s. He did well. He made a good living for a guy who couldn't speak English when he came over, right?
All right. Well, this was a good presentation, Darren. You did good.
Oh, thank you. Well, you can hear it in my voice. I'm very passionate when it comes to putting, and I think it's really important because putting is the low-hanging fruit. I had a couple today that I gave a putting lesson to, and they went out and played 9 holes afterwards, and she only had 2 3-putts, right? Where she was having tons of 3-putts. And putting is the low-hanging fruit where you don't have to have a lot of athletic ability, you don't have to be super strong, and you can really improve your score just by eliminating 3-putts. So, but everyone wants to go work on their driver, which I get it, and I'm a big proponent of driving. Don't get me wrong, but I don't like seeing 3-putts either.
Oh, I could sit on the putting green from like 7 in the morning until 11:30 and then go play golf. That was more how what we did.
Well, when our club opens, they're going to allow us 5 minutes on the putting green before we go out to play. We won't be able to go. We're going to be able to arrive at the golf course a half an hour before we tee off, just to be able to warm up on the driving range for a few minutes, go and putt for 5 minutes, and then report to the tee.
Why? Because of the plague?
So I don't think there's going to be very much practicing.
Is that because of the plague?
It's because of the COVID-19.
Yeah.
Give me a break. They overcooked this whole thing, I'm telling you.
Where's this at?
In Toronto.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be carrying aerosol cans around.
All right, gang. Hope you enjoyed it. Darren, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. It will
Great
make a
lesson.
difference.
Thanks, Darren.
Yep.
What's on next week?
I don't know. We'll think of something.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great. We don't want to miss it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Darren, you should do one on chipping.